Hi guys, it's Abby here again. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. We're coming to the end, I guess, where we're rounding out now the final dosha, which is the Vata dosha. So if you've just joined me, you may want to go back to some of the earlier sessions just to get some of the foundations. And if you haven't yet completed your Banyan Botanical Dosha quiz, head over to my bio and just do that quiz quickly, because it'll really give you some insight into what your dosha is and what are some of the key things you need to consider to restore that balance. So what we're going to talk about today is the Vata dosha. So it's the last dosha of the three, Vata, Pitta and Kapha. And what we're going to start with is talk about when Vata is most prominent. So Vata, we talked about being the light, airy, mobile, variable. There's basically it's air particles floating around in space. They're the two elements that make up Vata. So it is very irregular, very go with the flow. That's where that statement can sort of really come into its own. Vata personalities just really go with the flow. They have trouble committing and they just sort of want to make up their mind on the day or change their mind at the last minute. And they're very creative ideas people. So they'll have an idea and then the next time you speak to them, they've got another great idea. So very inspired, creative individuals. They can tend to be more tall and thin and longer elongated fingers and limbs and things like that, more prominent bones and joints often, and they can, because they have that irregular nature, they can have a little bit irregularity with their features as well, a little bit less symmetry in their body, and because of the dryness they can tend to have that dryness coming through on their skin. They can tend to be having dry cracked skin, maybe even cold skin to touch. Their hair can be dry, sometimes irregular kinks and or a little bit frizzy because of the dryness. So we can start to see some of those qualities when we're looking at the Vata personality type. But then what we start to see is that Vata becomes prominent in different times of our life and in different times of our day and also different times in the season. So if we start with the season, we've covered that Kapha is prominent in the springtime, and then we go into the summer where Pitta is more dominant. And then as we come out of summer and we're going into the autumn and early winter, that's when we really start to see the Vata dosha come into play. We can see these light, mobile qualities. The wind is blowing around, the trees and the leaves are starting to dry out, the dry leaves are being blown around, it's starting to get a little bit colder. So you can definitely see that there's this light, variable, mobile, dry, cold quality coming through in the autumn. And they're all the qualities of the Vata dosha. So as those increase in the environment, we can start to feel those qualities increase in our body. So this is the time of year that we definitely need to be nourishing and nurturing our Vata dosha, is through that autumn and early winter time. Now, if we look at this time of day that Vata is most prominent, it's in that afternoon and that very early morning. So in the afternoon from 2 p.m. till 6 p.m. and then in the morning from 2 a.m. till 6 a.m. So that's when Vata is most dominant. So in the afternoon, sometimes in that after school sort of time, for me, sorry, you can tell I'm a mum, or that later part of the day, we can sort of just start to feel like we lose concentration, we're easily distracted, we can just become a little bit more airy, and we need something, maybe a sweet treat or something just to ground us and bring us back into balance. So they're sort of some of the things that can happen as Vata is more dominant. And then because Vata sort of wakes us up, it's that mobile quality. Sometimes if you're starting to wake up between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., that's the Vata dosha starting to get a little bit more prominent. And some people say, oh, I wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. on the dot every night. And sometimes that's that mobile quality of Vata just starting to wake up within us. And it's sort of getting us ready for the day, because if we get up nice and early, we're going to feel more active and more mobile through the day. We probably don't need to be getting up as early as 2 a.m., but that's the idea behind it. So we will find that we can sort of start to go into a lighter sleep and be more mobile through that time. And there's a time of the day called Brahma Mudra, which is the most spiritual time of the day, which is the most creative time of the day. And lots of entrepreneurs and lots of people that are really wanting to get their life on track and change the direction really use this powerful time of the day to get up and tune in and maybe do some meditation and just use that creativity, because Vata is the power of creativity and ideas and inspiration. So that's why we have that natural tendency to be stirring and getting ready to wake up, because Brahma Mudra generally recommends waking about 90 minutes before sunrise. So depending on where you are in the world, that might be sort of 4:30, so you can start to get up and do a little bit of a spiritual practice and do some journaling and see what ideas come to you, because and I truly believe if you can use those ideas and put them into action, you'll really start to manifest a really purposeful, amazing life as well. So that's a little tip to manifest and use that Vata time as best as you can. But then in general, in the daytime, in that afternoon, to keep Vata contained, just try not to overdo it in that end of the day, between 2 and 6. We want to start to wind down, try to keep warm, try to be more still and more present and more mindful with your actions. So that's how we start to see Vata in our day-to-day life. Now, we also see Vata in our stages of life as well. So as we age, we start to see more Vata come into play. So Vata can generally show up in pain and also in degeneration, because there's no physical aspect to Vata, that's in the kapha. And Vata is very airy and space. And so as our body starts to deteriorate or degenerate, that's the Vata starting to kick in. We can get things like osteoporosis, and we get more space and air in our bones. Sometimes the nervous system and the mind, we start to lose our memory and things like that. That can be part of that degeneration process. But generally just aches and pains, maybe some constipation, the bowels and things change in the way they function as we get older. So generally after menopause, or that equivalent time with the male population, we start to go into that Vata time. So if we're going into that time of our life, we really want to make sure that we're nurturing ourselves and just doing all the things we can to balance Vata going into that stage. So I'm going to leave this video here, and the next video I'm going to go into some more practical advice that you can use during those times of the day, those times of the year, and those times of your stage of life, that you can really help to keep that Vata in balance, and so that you can sort of feel as happy and healthy as possible at each stage. So catch the next episode where I'll go into a little bit more detail about the Vata dosha. I'll see you soon. Bye.